Hello everyone. Today, I want to set the record straight, specifically on why so many Americans get Malaysia completely wrong. From outdated stereotypes to geopolitical friction, I'm unpacking the latest facts and offering a balanced, updated perspective. 1. Americans often assume Malaysia is underdeveloped or stuck in the past. TikTok videos calling it third world went viral but sparked debate, because this perception ignores how modern, cosmopolitan, and technologically advanced places like Kuala Lumpur really are. Malaysia has universal healthcare, strict gun laws, no-tipping culture, and vibrant, multicultural cities. As one Redditor put it, I assumed Malaysia was a small country full of people fishing, but it's actually way more modern than I would have ever thought. 2. Many Americans believe Malaysia is tied to China or Islamic extremism. The reality is a thriving, multicultural democracy with deep U.S. ties, especially in trade and education. Yet public discontent over U.S. policy on Gaza has triggered boycotts against U.S. brands and strained diplomatic goodwill. 3. Some in the U.S. media paint Malaysia as authoritarian or intolerant. Yet freedom of expression issues aside, the government recently debunked viral claims that the U.S. sanctioned Malaysia as a state sponsor of terror, a rumor Reuters never published. And the backlash against American professor Bruce Gilley's inflammatory remarks on Malaysia's denounced Palestinian stance illustrates how sensitive and principled public opinion is here. 4. Americans sometimes assume all Malaysian Americans think alike. But Malaysia's internal dynamics are nuanced. The former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad, for example, remains a vocal critic of U.S. foreign policy and American double standards, highlighting how a segment of Malaysians questions U.S. leadership on Gaza, Taiwan, Ukraine, and China. 5. There's widespread misunderstanding about U.S.-Malaysia relations. While American influence is significant, the trade negotiations currently underway, where Malaysia is resisting a 25% tariff and aiming for the lowest possible rate, show that Malaysia asserts its national interest firmly. So, to recap, many Americans cling to stereotypes, imagining Malaysia as jungle, rural, religiously repressive or monolithically anti-American. But the truth is far more complex. Malaysia is modern, globally minded, and deeply invested in balancing relations between the US, China, and the broader Muslim world. Let's start. Misconception number 1: Malaysia is backward or impoverished. We've long heard stereotypes: fishing villages, jungle, unpaved roads. Yet Kuala Lumpur rivals American cities in infrastructure, soaring towers, international business, and tourism. Many Americans visiting Malaysia say their expectations were completely blown away. The food, the transit systems, the malls, free public healthcare, no tipping, Malaysia is modern. Misconception 2: it's part of China's orbit. Sure, China exerts economic influence across Southeast Asia. But Malaysian diplomatic officials and observers emphasize the country's independent stance, refusing to adhere entirely to either China or the US. Despite understandable pressure, Malaysia preserves sovereignty, rejecting unilateral US sanctions and resisting economic coercion from either side. Misconception 3: Malaysia condones antisemitism or supports violence. Some Americans believe Malaysia actively promotes extremist rhetoric. But controversial remarks by American academic Bruce Gilley stirred massive domestic protest in Malaysia, not support. Malaysian universities and government bodies swiftly repudiated his claims and halted his programs, showing robust civic response. Misconception 4: Malaysia is dominated by conservative Islam. While Islam is the official religion, the country is home to large Chinese, Indian, and Christian communities coexisting in urban centers. Malaysia's media, economy, and politics reflect this complex multicultural mix. It is not a monolithic Islamic state. Misconception 5: Americans and Malaysia share a tidy, untroubled alliance. In reality, bilateral ties are transactional and at times tense. For instance, despite being a major investor in Malaysia's semiconductor and rubber sectors, the US has imposed tariffs, triggering negotiations that Malaysia has approached with caution. There's rising skepticism among Malaysians of US policy decisions, especially around Gaza, proving relations are far from seamless. In short, Americans often default to outdated frames, thinking Malaysia is a uniform, underdeveloped, religiously fanatical place beholden to China. That view falls apart under scrutiny. Malaysia is dynamic, modern, politically diverse, and assertive on the world stage. The Malaysian public pushes back hard when misrepresented. Here's what you can take away: if you're going to talk about Malaysia, or film about it, do your research. Visit, talk to Malaysians, dig beyond viral videos. You'll find a country that's confident in its identity, rich in heritage, forward-looking, and unwilling to be reduced to stereotypes.